Hello guys, so I've been asked quite a few times about how I get inspired and where I find my inspiration from, so I thought I'd do a little video kind of explaining my thought process on the whole thing, because a lot of people have said, well, I'm struggling to get inspired, how can I make myself want to do it and want to play and like make ideas come to me. And I was thinking, I don't know, I have not seen anyone necessarily talk about it in this way before, so I thought I would just share my thoughts on it, and I'm sure there will be people out there who can relate. But there's one thing I just want to quickly mention. You've probably noticed this isn't my normal camera setup. There may or may not be playing at the end of this video, but if there is, it's not going to be like the best sound because I'll just have to be recording it on my phone, so apologies for that, because at the moment I don't have a way of properly recording it, unfortunately, but hopefully it'll come across okay if I am able to actually record something. But anyway, on with the video. So, in my opinion, when it comes down to actually getting inspired, a lot of it comes down to understanding how your brain works and kind of getting to know and taking the time to learn your brain patterns. Because does your brain respond to being forced to take in information and get inspired, or does it kind of work better if you just let it go with the flow? Because some people obviously work much better if they're actually constantly focusing on what it is that they want to be doing, and other people have to kind of take time away from that and let things sink in. So it really is at the core down to kind of figuring out, taking the time to actually learn your thought process, your brain patterns, and allowing it to be that way so that you can harness it and actually use it to your advantage and actually kind of learn how to let your brain get inspired as well. Because there seems to be a lot of people out there who think, or that they say, there's kind of this culture where it's like, if you're not doing this all the time and you don't feel inspired, then you're obviously doing it wrong. You need to be constantly taking in information. And it's like, if your brain's anything like mine, that doesn't necessarily work. One second, just going to adjust the wonky lighting. This is going to be a fun video. So, yeah, it's really, everyone's brain flow is different, and it's about going with the flow of how your brain works. But, for example, as you know, there's people who need input all the time and they thrive off that, and that is amazing. So learn if that works for you. If it doesn't seem to work that way, you might be more similar to me where your brain kind of goes in cycles. So a lot of the time I'll kind of, well, the way my brain seems to work is I'll either obsessively I'll go through a phase where I'll obsessively watch things and I can't get enough of the information, and I'll be taking it in and soaking it all up like a sponge, and it's like non-stop, and I'll learn in a day what some people would take in 6 months, because my brain is in that kind of phase and it's open to that and it can take it all in. But when I'm not in that phase, I kind of just have to let it sit and process, and I can't keep taking in stuff once I'm out of that phase. So I couldn't force myself to keep trying to stay inspired and to constantly take in new information if I'm not in that place in my head at that point in time, because my brain kind of works on the basis that when I see something, like obviously I absolutely love music, so when I see something music related, my brain instantly goes, oh, that. And then it only takes one tiny thing to kind of spark 1,000 different ideas and take me off on a big path of like 1,000,000 different pathways and thoughts and all sorts of different ideas. And so if I'm not in that phase where I'm able to take it all in immediately, I'll get all of those thoughts and then they'll just overwhelm me, and I can't actually do any of it because it kind of almost brings it to a halt, because it's like I'm getting too much input and one thing will create 1,000 different things, and then if I keep watching stuff when that's happening, then I'll just get more and more and more things coming to me, and I can't actually take it all in. So I literally have to stop, let it all sit, and obviously go with the flow. If I feel like, oh, I really feel like I want to learn about this specific thing though, then obviously by all means I'll go and do that, and you should too if that's what you want. Again, it's about listening to what your brain is telling you and kind of learning how it works. But when I'm out of that phase of being mega productive and like constantly taking in new information and actively seeking it, I'll actually be doing a lot of non-music related things, because what is going on in my brain is that when I'm sat doing nothing, I'm never not thinking about music. So when I'm sitting, like if I'm playing a game or watching a series or anything like that, and just kind of trying to get this part of my brain to relax, it's like my brain has two different bits to it. So there's this bit at the front which has to relax, and kind of like I just have to let it wander and kind of let my thoughts go wherever they want to go, instead of trying to force them into something productive or getting ideas or anything like that. And so they'll go wherever they want to go, and then this part of my brain is thinking about music, and kind of like whether it's even if I've learned a song or anything I've been learning about basically, or any new ideas that come to me. It's like that part is constantly doing that, and this part has to focus on something else and kind of be allowed to relax so that this part can carry on doing the work. I kind of find the same thing as well if I learn a song, especially if it's something really mentally taxing. If I keep playing the same riff over and over again and I get really overly frustrated, but I force myself to keep playing it, it sometimes takes me longer to learn it than it does if I play it, get to a point where I can feel my brain is getting a bit fried, and when I stop for a little bit, when I come back to it, it's like my brain has processed it, and I'll quite often just be able to instantly play it, even though I haven't practiced it since I left it and went and did something totally unrelated, because it's like that part of my brain is taking it in and still learning it, even when I'm doing something else. So to me, it's really important, if your brain works that way, allow it to do that and give it some space to actually breathe and just kind of wander into whatever it needs to be doing. I think that's really important, and the same thing goes for letting it get inspired, can't talk today. But when I am letting it relax and wander, even with things that seem totally unrelated, it'll always be translated into music, because to me, music is my first language. So anything that I become, like, even if I'm not necessarily being inspired by it consciously, like if I'm just kind of sat watching something that I'm not even particularly enjoying but just kind of zoning out, there'll still be things that my brain is taking in from it, because again, music seems to be my first language. I feel like I can communicate a lot better through that than I can anything else. So anything I take in will always be translated back into music. But the other thing is, my brain will get obsessed, not just with musical things, but I'll go through phases where I'll be obsessed with certain things, like whether that's a game character or a game series, a TV series, could be anything, or even like I'll get into the habit of going for walks every day, or literally anything. It'll go in a phase and it'll get kind of enamored with that and obsessed with that, and it'll take in everything it can, and like I can't get enough of it, about that character or that game or the lore behind it, even certain albums and stuff like that, of course, but strictly non-music related things, when I get inspired by them and obsessed with them, I see it as a good thing, because I know that when that happens, it's always going to be translated into music, and I can kind of, when I go back and watch videos that I've done, where I can tell sometimes what it is I was obsessed with at that point and what I was taking inspiration from, because it comes out in the music, and it doesn't only add an extra string to my bow at that point in time. To me, it's something, once I come out of that phase of being obsessed with that thing, whatever it is, it's something then, it's like it becomes a part of me, and I've kind of just added it to my repertoire, and it's another thing that I can draw on at any point if I want to. Like, again, like, that's not just music related things, but like, if I was obsessed with a character, I can draw on whatever musical translation that gave me at any point once I'm out of that phase as well. So there'll be the phase where I'm obsessed with it, and stuff that will kind of come out full force in music, but even after that's passed, I can still draw on that at any point. So it's like I constantly take on things and translate them into music anyway, so I don't necessarily feel the need to constantly only look at music stuff and pressure myself to kind of be inspired all the time just through music, because of course I absolutely love music and I listen to it constantly every day. It's something that most days, sometimes I don't, but it's always going around my head. I'm never without a song or something in my head, so of course it's always there, but it doesn't necessarily always have to be a conscious effort to be there, if that makes sense. And hopefully some of you might be able to kind of relate to this and think, I'm not so weird, and it's not a bad thing, and it doesn't make me less worthy of being a musician or anything like that, because it's all valid. And in my opinion, the artistic brain is not necessarily so cut and dry as, right, I watch this about this thing that I want to do, and then I gain inspiration and I turn it into this. Because that's a very linear way of doing it, and the arts kind of aren't that way anyway. So I think there are things to be learned from all the arts that can kind of combine into your specialised one as well. But yeah, I hope this is kind of making some sense. Because a lot of the thing is being able to allow yourself to go unconscious to it as well. Even things like the trees, or any sounds I hear in the world, or anything I look at, whether it's like even a piece of artwork I see, or listening to the breeze through the trees, that rhymes. Literally anything, I have found a way for it to be translated into music, and it's not a deliberate decision. It's like my brain goes, that's this. In musical terms, that leaf on that tree is this. And I think, again, if I was of the thinking that, no, music is music, so I can only gain inspiration from that specific thing, then I think I would miss out on a lot of what the world and the universe and music tries to tell me. Because another thing with inspiration is, I think it's really important to allow yourself to go unconscious and kind of let the universe and let music give you its message and what it wants you to say for it, or what it wants to tell you. And it doesn't necessarily always do that only through music. Because I mean, hearing the wind in the trees, sometimes my brain will go, that sounded like this. And it's like music has beamed that to me through that, or the universe has kind of come together to go, hey, this. And so I go, okay, I hear you, and I'll do my best to put that across how you want me to. And even when you are playing, it's really important to kind of try your best. It's not always possible, but try your best to kind of go unconscious to it and just let music take you where it wants to go, if that makes any sense. because in life, I think, well, I feel my way through life, and I've always kind of tried to leave myself open, even as a child when I was way too young to kind of know how to put this into words or know it was a thing consciously. I've always tried to leave myself open for what the universe is trying to tell me, or like just to hear things that are trying to be sent to me, if that makes any sense. And even to the point where, like, as a child, just going off on a bit of a tangent here, but it comes back to my point of letting yourself listen for these things and not clogging your brain up with only a specific thing and creating rules that don't need to be there. When I was a kid, probably about 6 or 7, I was sat outside in my garden with my uncle, and where I live, it's not surrounded by houses, it's fields. And I was sat on this swinging seat, not really doing anything. And something went, you need to move your head to the side. So me kind of like, I'd always kind of felt things like that anyway, and I'd done my best to listen to them. But I was like, even if you don't know why, I always try to do it anyway. And it was like, you need to move your head to the side. So 6-year-old me just goes like that, out of nowhere. And as I did that, not long at, like literally a matter of seconds, if that, maybe 1 second after I did that, this pellet flew somewhere in the fields, no idea who shot it, but it went through the seat right where my head would have been. And there was no way that I could have seen this person or anything like that, not consciously anyway. But something literally went, move your head to the side. So I did, straight through, right where my forehead would have been. And if I hadn't listened, that could have turned out really badly. But again, even if I had somehow subconsciously seen whoever shot this thing, the point still stands that if I wasn't allowing myself to be open to kind of listen to my subconscious mind and like allow myself to kind of take it in and receive it, I still wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have moved my head because I would have been so preoccupied with forcing myself to think about different things or go by the rule book that I still wouldn't have done it. So, yeah, be that what it may. I hope that kind of makes some sense. It's a really weird thought, but the same thing happened to my mum when she was a child as well, which is another strange thing. But anyway, in any aspect of life, it's important to listen to this stuff, but especially in music, because quite often I'll wake up and like something will be there, an idea will be there immediately, and they'll be like, I want this, something will be there like almost badgering me to do a specific thing just out of nowhere. And like for example, the once I woke up and it was like, you need to contact this person, message this person, send them a message. And I'd never spoken to them before, but for some reason I was being told to send them a message, so I did when I woke up. And that ended up leading to something really amazing. So it was like the universe or something knew and it wanted me to do that so that something else bigger could happen. And again, the same thing goes with music in general. Just take the time to actually listen and don't feel obliged to always necessarily go by the rule books of what people say. Because there have been times where I've tried to force things against the grain, and in my opinion, that's never been my best work, because my brain hates being told what to do. It hates stupid rules, and it makes me want to deliberately go against them, which is kind of terrible. Sometimes I actually have to fight it. Like, if there's something I want to do, and then someone tells me, oh, you should do this, in like a really annoying way. my brain will then kind of deliberately go, right, you've told me to do that, now I don't want to do it. And I kind of have to fight, because I was like, well, no, let's be rational here. I actually want to do this thing, so just ignore the fact that I've been told to do it. And of course, if there are certain things, you know, if you're told to do them, you really should do them. And on a professional level, I'm always able to be professional about it. But, you know, when it comes to things like just messing around at home, I absolutely hate it. I think it's pointless to kind of listen to stupid little rules that don't need to be there. It may not surprise you to know I didn't go to school. I was homeschooled from the age of 7, because in that environment I just don't really function very well. And coming back to the stupid little rules thing, there have been times like in an art class where I've wanted to give Santa a beard, and people have gone, no, we're not giving Santa a beard, we're not doing it that way. And I've gone, yeah, but Santa's got a beard, I want to give him a beard. They'd be like, no one else in the class is, we're not doing that. And so my brain just kind of goes, I'm doing that anyway then. And I generally do. I still work that way. And I think that is kind of a good way to be, because why the hell should you listen to someone saying art should be done a specific way? Like, art is art for a reason. It's supposed to be expression and like a moment in time. So there's a lot of that in music as well, and I think it can be easy to kind of get sucked into, well, this person says I shouldn't do this, and I shouldn't play this way, and this person says this, and a lot of it is often conflicting as well, and then you end up in this kind of space where you're like, well, I don't know what to do now, because this person says I shouldn't do this, and this person says I shouldn't do this, and now I'm stuck. And in all honesty, if something feels right for you to do something in a certain way, then you should do it. Just ignore, if you want to do something a certain way, it's well within, well, I just don't see any reason why you shouldn't, especially, like, if something's not hurting someone, there's no reason why you shouldn't be allowed to do it, because I don't think people should be making the rules for music necessarily, because music itself knows better. And when you start kind of, it can be really easy to get sucked into that thing where you're hearing people say, you shouldn't do this is the wrong thing, that's the wrong way to do this. It's really easy then to close yourself off to, one, your own brain pattern and go with the flow of your own brain, but two, to what music is trying to tell you, because you're so caught up in, am I going to be doing the right thing? Is it going to be this? Am I going to be doing this wrong? You can't do it wrong. If music is telling you to do something a certain way, then it's not going to be wrong, because that's what music wants, and music knows best, and the universe knows best. So if you're supposed to be inspired at a certain point in time, then you will be. I just think everything happens when it's supposed to, and if something doesn't happen, but you really want it to happen, if it doesn't happen, then it just wasn't supposed to. And I always think, even if it did happen, then it wouldn't necessarily have been what you wanted it to be anyway. So either way, you haven't really lost out on anything. So yeah, basically what it comes down to, in short, is learn your brain patterns and how to harness them. Allow yourself to be inspired by anything and everything, whatever you want to kind of, yeah, just allow yourself to be inspired by unrelated things if that is what works for you, because I know it works for me as well. And tune into and trust music and the universe. So hopefully this made some kind of sense and wasn't too rambly, but yeah, it's a difficult thing to kind of take something that's in your brain and that isn't necessarily tangible, or there aren't necessarily words to describe what you're trying to describe, and then put it verbally in human language. is kind of a difficult thing, at least to me. So hopefully I've put it across in a kind of fairly understandable way. But I wanted to at least do my best to try and answer this question, because one, obviously you deserve an answer, anyone who's asked. I love to try and help people along in any way I can, because everyone deserves to be able to make music if that's what they want to do. But also, yeah, I just hope it made some sense, basically. I also just thought, if someone maybe out there is watching this and they've not heard anyone who thinks the same way that they do, or their brain works the same way, they might actually feel kind of somewhat less alone in it. I don't know, but there's surely more of us out there. I don't doubt that there is. So yeah. Thank you for watching, and hope you enjoyed. Unrelated, but if you did enjoy this, I do have a Patreon. I'll put a link in the description below. There's no tiers or anything like that. It's literally just to pay whatever you want to pay. There's no minimum price. It's just as low as you want. And of course there's no pressure. I love all of you guys anyway. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.